Welcome to Revlog, where Brian and Aaron wanted to turn this into The Voice.
Right.
But
This is The Voice.
I vetoed that one.
He turned his chair around and said, "Here I am." That's right. It's Holy Week.
It is Holy Week.
That's right.
That's right. It is approaching Easter.
That's right. A more unique Holy Week no one has ever experienced in our lifetime. That's for sure. But
That's right.
But the privilege is the same. The joy of proclaiming this gospel message is true. So here we go.
Amen. And adding to the uniqueness of Holy Week, we are at Daniel in the Lion's Den.
That's right.
For Holy Week.
That's right.
So we're gonna have to make some connections from here to the gospel.
There's a lot of unique Holy Week things happening all around.
That's right.
There are.
Including in the Bible.
That's right. But this week we come to Daniel chapter 6, probably the most famous chapter in the book of Daniel, mostly what Daniel is known for. So, Aaron, help us come to this text. How did you read Daniel chapter 6 today?
Well, I read it with an eye towards Easter. I mean, just
Right.
because I knew that this is where we're going to be and this is where we're heading. And there really is an amazing parallel that you see running throughout this, the stone being rolled in front of the lion's den. And but the bigger narrative that I saw is we serve a God who delivers.
That's right.
And all through the Old Testament, that was the story of the Exodus, the story of Joshua, the story that God delivers his people as he promised.
Are you trying to sing "He is able to deliver thee"? Is that
I'm
that
not.
where this is going?
I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna
make
sing.
make this a thing here.
So we can have a competition.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead. No, he's able
good
to
for
deliver.
strength.
He is able to deliver, and then Easter is that ultimate exclamation point to say, not only physically deliver, not only to take you from point A to point B, but to deliver you from the bondage of sin. And that if there's a more beautiful story to tell, I don't know what it is.
And that's the most important deliverance.
Absolutely.
Right? It's out of that bondage of sin into the spiritual deliverance where we know our God. Right?
That's right.
Brian, what were your initial reactions here?
Well, first of all, I would prefer "Out of My Bondage, Sorrow and Night."
I know.
That's my favorite invitation hymn, as you know.
As I do know.
One of these days, we will give you both an opportunity to sing. we will vote. We'll critique.
So for those of you, Brian's preached several times the last couple of years, and that's the hymn he chooses every time he preaches. So just
Sue me.
As our most favorite Don Guthrie would
That's right.
choose the
Lead
same.
on, O King Eternal.
Lead on, O
That's
King
right.
Eternal.
That's right. That was his.
Yeah. So what? Daniel 6, Brian.
Well, and I love what you said, Aaron. Daniel was a dead man,
That's right.
and he was brought out. I mean, there's another parallel there. I mean, it is such a great parallel. Where else was Daniel going to go but to God? I'm just, we can, not that everybody does this, but we can set this up into this my God's better than your God sort of competition that Daniel was really trying to one up, But it wasn't a question of Daniel's militance there. He wasn't trying to, prove something. He was going to the only one who could hear him and deliver him either into the eternal kingdom, forever, or stop this madness where he was. This was Daniel saying, I cannot, you're asking me to do something that it is completely impossible. I cannot but go to God.
That's right.
Right.
And I think the other thing to think of, this is the third king we've read about, right?
Correct.
So Daniel's probably not a young man at this point. Nebuchadnezzar served a long time. And so
Great point. Yeah.
the fact that this is not some fly-by-night faith.
That's right.
That
It's seasoned.
And we saw that
Yeah.
with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These guys just didn't decide to turn to God. This was their pattern. It says in here that Daniel prayed 3 times a day,
Right.
as was his custom.
That's right.
That-
This was a long time simmering.
And like
here.
you said, how could he could not go against the DNA of his faith. And that was to go to God for everything. And
That's
so
right.
he's going to continue to do that.
And that does contrast with those kings, because all these kings have these moments with God, and they go, "Oh, got to find Daniel to figure out what's going on and what's happening." But Daniel had these moments in experiencing God every day in his life.
And you also got to wonder.
Yes, that's exactly
He
right.
keeps getting promoted. I don't know how much higher this guy can
He
get
fails
promoted.
up.
I guess.
He
It's
keeps
like
getting in trouble.
third or fourth time that he's been promoted. So
But there also, let me mention, there is this consistent parallel, like between this and, say, the fiery furnace. When they were brought out of the furnace, there was no smell of smoke on them. When Daniel was brought out of the lion's den, there was no wound on him. There's this complete deliverance that God's not a halfway God. He completely saves.
that's right.
Amen.
Yeah, that's
Amen.
a good word.
So, Aaron, when you were reading this, what question came to mind?
Well, it goes back to the this is not a fly-by-night faith. Am I, if 20 years from now I'm put in a situation where it's like Daniel being tested, have I done the foundation work to establish that relationship where I'm spending time with the Lord, I'm reading His Word, I'm praying and talking to Him? Are we doing that? Are we girding ourselves in preparation for?
Is that my custom?
Is that my custom?
Because
That's right.
It's in the in-between times
That's
that we get ready for the times of testing.
That's
we
right.
always say, put me on the front lines, but we haven't even done the grunt work in the middle.
Well said,
and
yeah.
that's absolutely necessary.
When I think, this is a complete side note, but I think that is one of the reasons we find ourselves not seeing our prayers fully answered, where we ask God for these grand things,
That's
and
right,
often we aren't receiving these grand things because we're not even ready. Right?
Yeah.
We couldn't handle them. We haven't done the foundational work.
That's
we,
right.
we aren't ready and prepared for what's in front of us.
That we couldn't
and
handle it anyway.
We couldn't
if
handle
God
it. Right.
gave it to us.
Right. We couldn't handle it anyway. So,
Yeah.
Bryan, as you read Daniel 6, what question came to mind?
This is a different kind of question, and it really stems
We wouldn't expect
from,
anything less.
It stems from some of the circumstances we find ourselves in this day and time. And that is, why should we heed what the state says about gathering when Daniel clearly didn't heed what the state said at that point in time? And I have my own answer to
That's a
that,
good
but
question.
I just, I think that sometimes we see these things and we go, okay, well, when is the time to be a conscientious objector, as
Right.
it were, and when is the time to do a Romans 13,
Yeah.
go along with the authorities kind of thing.
So you do have to
I'm
weigh
just
those. But I
putting that
will
out
say
there.
this is a very different circumstance than what Daniel
no, I
faced
do.
too. But, right.
And I say that I would say, for the sake of people, for the sake of others, we cannot afford to be selfish.
Right. And we're not being barred from home worship. Right, we're not
That's
being
right.
barred.
That's
from
exactly
in fact,
right.
In fact,
That's exactly
all
right.
of our officials, our president, our governor, our mayor, are asking for prayer or asking us to approach this with
That's
prayer.
right. That's right.
And so there is some sense where,
and our biggest witness can come in the form of helping them be the best they can be.
Exactly.
Our leaders.
That's right. That's right. Well, we thank you for walking into Holy Week through Daniel chapter 6. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the connections that we can find from Daniel in the lion's den and our resurrection text. So please comment below.